So we'll wait like 3 or 4 minutes to normalize, and then
Normalize?
yeah, I will.
Oh no!
What's this normal you speak of?
It's going to take a lot longer than 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, like I
It hasn't
mean,
happened in 42 years, so I think I'm out of luck.
God damn it, Sarah! What the hell?
I can leave. That's fine.
No, you're not leaving. You're not leaving. You're here. That's we're you're not going anywhere.
Oops.
Oh, okay.
Just gonna cause trouble.
I hope Restream doesn't drain my phone battery as quickly as Substack video.
No,
does.
Substack video is actually worse. I've noticed.
Clearly, I'm at the park, so
Oh,
I can't recharge.
It looks like it's a nice day there, at least.
Sarah, you want to drop the Substack and YouTube links here? I'm on Blue Sky it.
Can y'all see the mountains over there?
Yes, and they look very.
Or are they too far away?
Goodness.
No, you can see them. Okay, let me just update, and then we'll go right into it. My lives link. There we go. Okay. There's that one. All right. So, and then, well, why don't you go? I'll let you start, Miranda. Go right into it.
All right. So today for the topic, I wanted to talk about conditional love. So this is like inspired by the obvious choice, which is like how evangelical Christians will say that they love people, but then they obsess over certain types of sins and end up treating us like shit if we are that type of sinner. So like I posted lost my image here. So a couple days ago there was a progressive pastor who shared a post about how love the sinner, hate the sin is not biblical and it's a fallacy, and it just gives excuse to people to not do the love the sinner part of that. So I ended up posting in response to it. As someone who is often on the receiving end of love the sinner, hate the sin, it hurts. It's you're perfect. You're a project, not a person. It's I can't see who you are because you aren't who I want you to be. It's I will call out your perceived sin, but will never ever call out my fellow Christians who bear false witness against you, or call you slurs, or make vulgar comments about your body, sexualize you, or threaten you. So that's kind of the thing I was thinking about whenever I chose this topic. So does anyone have any?
So the way we did this,
they want to go on?
the way we did this the last time, we basically went clockwise or counterclockwise around, and spent 5 or 6 minutes talking about the specific element. So I'll let you pick which direction we go in.
Let's go clockwise, or clockwise on my screen. I don't know if everyone's in the same relative position.
Well, call somebody out.
So, Sarah, do you have anything that resonates with you?
I mean, not specifically religion based, because I wasn't raised in any sort of church. My dad always called us seekers of the truth, so we kind of learned a little bit of everything and mainly followed the seasons. But something recently, my sister and I were talking about difficulties like she was having, and the concept of unconditional love that her ex was trying to like force feed her, and she's like, that unconditional love is kind of in her eyes, bullshit, because it gives the idea that somebody could do absolutely anything, no matter how terrible the thing could be, and you're still expected to love them. So it's kind of the flip side of what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
that's where my head went, because that's where it's what's most recent in my brain.
Yeah, it gets flipped by people who are abusive or in power. Like, they're owed unconditional love, but the people that they're stomping on aren't.
Yeah. His
And
argument was that he had unconditional love for her and that she should have the same for him. That's all I've got.
I think that you're right about that. I'm a person who grew up in a family situation where conditional love was entirely predicated by the idea that if you did not love the matriarch and you did not put all of your energy towards the matriarch, then the love that you received was conditional. And as a person who grew up in a narcissistic and antisocial ridden parental situation, I was the scapegoat. So when you're the scapegoat, you tend to suffer a lot because that's the source of all the problems, even though the larger problem is the narcissistic or antisocial parent. And so, yeah, that kind of, that's the ache of sitting at a family dinner where feelings and aspects, and even as a trans person, pronouns and gender scrape like gravel in the back of your throat. You know, where bringing a partner into that situation is painful. You know, that's the thing that makes you choose between authenticity and acceptance. Love offered only when, say, your queerness is not visible to the person you're in front of, is very painful.
And it's kind of impossible for you and me, Wendy, because we're trans, to hide our queerness.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, do you have anything you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to what you're saying. When I was younger, growing up in the Pentecostal church, I never heard that phrase "love the sin" or love the sinner, not the sin, or however that phrase usually goes. hate the sin, not the sinner, or whatever. But it was kind of implied. I heard it more in the Baptist church. I think that was kind of that was more their motto when it came to LGBTQ community and that kind of thing. But it was
Did Brandon freeze? Oh no, Brandon's gone.
oh, am I back?
Wendy, you're muted.
Am I?
Wendy's
You're back.
muted. There you go.
Brandon,
Am I
you're back.
Yeah, we missed like the last 30 seconds. So
Oh, well, I don't know what I was saying, but it was it was something deeply profound and important.
Yeah, we missed the clever part.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get it back now. No, I often heard the kind of, at least the idea of love the sinner, hate the sin kind of thing. But it was also hypocritical because they didn't love the sinner. They didn't love the person.
Yeah.
They equated the sin with the person. You know, it didn't seem possible for them to separate the two. Even though they would preach it very often, they did not separate it. They treated the person as if they did, at the very least, shun them or, ostracize them, if not hate them. Kind of in our family, let's see, somebody was talking about, Wendy was talking about the patriarchy, and that was another thing we were taught from the Bible, that you honor your mother and father no matter what they do or what kind of person they are. That was supposed to be that was kind of an unconditional love type of situation. You love your parents, you honor them no matter what. And that also translated into relationships with a husband and wife. The wife was to submit to her husband and love her husband no matter what. And there was my mom and most of the people in the church, they did not condone divorce for any reason. Abusive husband, father, no matter, cheating. Now, in the Bible, there was that caveat that it was allowable for a husband and wife to divorce because of infidelity, but the people in the church didn't go that far. They're like, well, you were supposed to work it out.
Right, and a lot of times, like what I saw was that was one-sided too. So if the husband cheated, then that was just, oh well, men have a stronger sex drive, or like he would, he was tempted, and so that was just like a one-time sin, and he gets to repent. But if she cheated, then that was the real infidelity.
Well, I think that kind of comes from the Bible too, when they were talking about if the woman is unfaithful, they were to put her away quietly or whatever. I think there's that kind of wording, something like that. But yeah, it kind of goes along with that.
I literally, if lesbians can control themselves around provocatively dressed women and men cannot, I feel like the provocative dress is not the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely experienced the conditional love personally when I told my dad I was gay, and he, he said that if I ever brought a guy home to a family dinner, we'd be the only two there because no one else would show up, and that whenever he died, I wasn't getting anything, or at least not as much as my siblings or whatever. And so obviously that was like saying that I wasn't part of the family, basically. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a conditional love.
Yeah, whenever I came out, my grandpa stopped talking to me, and like I knew that was a risk, because he had always been very conservative, and um, like he's the sort of he was the sort of guy who would post on Facebook about how Democrats were demon rats and like shit like that. And so, and we'd always had kind of an on again, off again relationship that was a little bit contentious. And, but we also had things that I thought drew us together. Um, we worked on cars together. Um, like he had, um, he had some values that I admired. Um, and so when I came out, I wrote him a letter. Like most people I came out to, it was either like just a conversation, or they got to wait until I like announced it on Facebook. But I wrote him a letter, um, talking about how much I valued our relationship, and pointed out like some of the positive experiences that we had together over the years. And nothing, no reply. Um, and so that was like October of 2023. Um, and then he ended up passing away, um, like at the end of 2024. And we never spoke again during that time. And then there was this whole um, family conversation about me going to the funeral. Um, that like my mom and her siblings, did all the funeral arrangements for him, and he had been in the army for a long time, and everything. So they, arranged for him to have military honors. Um, and my mom kept reaching out to me with this like, um, you don't have to go to the funeral. I know you weren't on good terms, but if you want to, you can. And I talked to your aunts and uncles, and they would be fine with you being there. And just like this idea that, like, because of who I am, I needed permission to mourn a family member. Um, like it hurt. Um, I ended up not going for what it's worth, but yeah.
You know, I think, Sarah, I think you have an opinion about performative conditional love. And I'm not putting you on the spot, but I feel like you probably should talk about it.
I mean, I did have a thought. And like Joe, and I don't know if this is where you were meaning for me to go with that, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. That Joe and I had been together for 22 years, and I would say that's probably the closest thing that I had experienced to unconditional love, but that when it came down to like things changing with me, and if I couldn't perform love in the way that he expected it, that love changed. It was no longer, it wasn't even present anymore. He tried for a little while to just be understanding, and then after that it was just distance and what felt like intentional triggering. And so now we just kind of barely exist in the same space. But in terms of like the rest of my family and whatnot, well, I can't even say the rest of my family because most of them don't know, but my immediate family, nothing's changed. So yeah, even love that initially feels like it could potentially be unconditional seems like it eventually has conditions.
So when I was younger, I had a very close relationship with somebody in my teenage years, and my parental unit did not approve of that friendship. And then two, um, you know, I got caught doing a handful of things when I was younger. Cross-dressing was one of them. And those were all conditional elements that said, if you do that, I won't love you anymore. The thing that's painful for me from a performative perspective is, for those that have read my biography and you didn't fucking listen to me and you read it anyway, Zoe and I, there was a rift that happened between Zoe and I. And so I always felt like that rift was going to heal, like that heart would eventually thaw, and it never did. And so, um, you know, if I had come out to this person, then yes, that love would have been conditional and that love wouldn't exist anymore. Not that it didn't exist already because of the rifting issue. It would have been worse. And so, talking about parental conditionality as it relates to how you think and how you feel. I mean, I don't know. Here's a question. I've already asked you this question. We've already had this talk. If you had come out to your parent, what would have happened?
Mine?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been pretty. I don't know that there's anything he, at that point, well, I guess it depends on what point in my life. I mean, if he was still alive today, I probably never would have come down the path of introspection that I did. I mean, me making these realizations about myself stems from me trying to figure out why I wasn't grieving the same way my mom and my sister were. Like, I did not feel bad about the fact that he was gone. It was a giant weight off my shoulders. So if it wasn't for that, I don't know that I would have even ended up where I am now.
So if he were alive today,
I wouldn't even have the capacity to tell him that I would like to come out to him, because I wouldn't have even gotten that far in recognizing myself.
because you'd be stuck in that performative state,
Yeah.
which is what makes that emotion conditional.
Well, I wouldn't say that I really ever felt like he was that loving of a parent anyhow. His acceptance of me was based off of, he was my biggest cheerleader when it came to my harebrained DIY stuff, only because it was stuff that he could benefit from. So
That makes that love, by definition, conditional.
I just wouldn't call it love.
That's a hard thing to compartmentalize. When Brandon gets back, we need to hear Brandon's thoughts. But Sarah, you and I are not all that different. Brandon, it's your turn.
Surprise!
Yeah. One thing I was wondering, I've heard this argument: is it even possible for human beings to have unconditional love? Because we all like to say we love unconditionally, but if we really break it down, are there things, if we really love someone, are there things that they could do? Is there something that they could do or say that would cause us not to love them anymore? I mean, aren't there always some limits? I don't know. That's kind of I don't know what you think about that, but
Define a limit.
well, I mean, something that someone would do that you were completely surprised about, that you didn't know was that they were capable of. A mistake that they would make, or something, whatever it may be. I mean, it would vary by person, but
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for me it comes down to like um, actions that are harmful or not. So like there are people who are in my life or who have been in my life um, who I did have to set a hard boundary with or walk away from that relationship. And like I always try to really like think hard about whether it's worth it to do that or whether the relationship is redeemable. Um, and it's like if their actions are harming me or harming other people, then I think I'm like justified in building that wall. Um, but on the flip side, there are people who've chosen to limit or end relationship with me because just because of who I am, which is not in any way harmful to them. And I think that difference is something that I dwell on sometimes, and um, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that. But
Well, like when in a relationship, ending a relationship, like I've had exes. I feel like I loved a couple of the boyfriends that I had, and but you know, we didn't. It wasn't a good relationship, and it ended. That doesn't mean I don't love them anymore, though.
right, yeah,
I still do love them, but there is like a boundary there. But
so that was the
they?
question. That was
What?
the question I was going to ask you, Brandon. Is that not to? I've already cried on this live, so I'm not. We're not doing this again. But the boyfriend,
Yeah.
there were things that happened in that relationship, and did that create conditional love for that person in you because of those things?
No, I don't. Conditional. Are you meaning like the drug abuse?
Yeah. So when you began dating that person, you
Yeah.
were not aware that they were a drug abuser or that they had been.
No, I was aware.
Okay, you were aware.
Yeah.
Okay, so understanding that that existed, did that cause you? Did it affect your ability to love that person? That's the question.
No.
Okay.
No, but what I'm getting at is like, well, like going back to Miranda's scenario, if the person causes harm to someone, now it could be whether it's intentional or unintentional, might make a
yeah,
difference also. But if they have the capability of harming someone, is that enough not to be able to forgive them and not to love them anymore? I mean, that's different for different people, probably. There's some people have limits on how much they can feel love for someone else based on what that person does or has done or You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does make sense. I had the same issue, I guess. Kind of in the reverse, though, with Karen. I was in a relationship with this person. The amount of love that I had for this person was conditional to what I was aware of. The problem is a large body of what was going on with Karen when I was younger, shit I was not aware of, just not consciously aware. So, in not being aware of it, did I feel like that meant that my love was conditional? No. And so when I ask you the question, like in his case, were you aware of that? The answer was yes. And you say, oh, no, it didn't affect whether I could love him or not. That means the answer to your original question is yes. You can unconditionally love someone.
Well, and the drug abuse is not my limit. I'm just asking, like, would I have a limit? I don't know I can't. I'm not sure I can answer that. It's kind of a rhetorical thing. Basically, it's something to think about.
So let me just pose a question to you then. If you are not conscious of what the limit is, but you indicate that you do know the limit exists,
Mm-hmm.
does that mean that you can still love someone unconditionally? Logic says yes. Because while you understand there is a limit, it is not a limit that you are aware of in whatever relationship you're talking about. And then until you become aware of that positional limit, then up to the point that you became aware of that limit, you were loving unconditionally. So that means the answer to the question is yes, you can.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Sarah?
She looks like she's thinking.
That kind of made me very much aware of the fact that for the past 10 years, I've been being loved conditionally.
Why do you say that?
Well, my dad was, sick for a while. All right. This is unconditional love from Joe, not from my dad.
Okay.
But as a result of my dad being sick and, being in and out of the hospital so much, my sister and I had been discussing, like, what things would look like when he passed. Like, what would we do to mark his passing? Well, my dad used to love to smoke pot. She's like, well, we'll have to sit down and smoke a joint. And I was joking with Joe about this, and he immediately just shut down. He's like, if you do that, I'm going to divorce you. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
If you smoke weed, I'm divorcing you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it escalated real quick. Admittedly, I've been using gummies for about a year, so.
Miranda,
Oops.
if when I come to Colorado next, if you give me weed, we can't be friends anymore. Well, but Sarah, let's examine that. Like, okay, if that condition exists in your relationship with Joe, that means that can't be the only condition.
Right.
And there are others that you have to be aware of.
There was one that was conditional for both of us, and that was cheating. Like, that was just that was a deal breaker. There was no coming back from that. There would be no coming back from that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I understood his condition about the drug use because his brother was a heavy drug user. Like, he used cocaine. Like, he was drunk all the time. He was in and out of prison. So there was a lot of trauma for him in that respect, and he related it specifically to people using drugs.
Yeah, that's kind of one thing I was wondering about. 'Cause, I mean, people have their limits, and it's hard to judge someone for that limit because you don't have the same experiences
Right.
as someone else.
Well, I mean, all experiences are unilaterally have a unilateral one man's treasure is another man's junk. You know,
Yeah.
it's inverse to whatever can be. One set of circumstances is, I years ago I knew an alumni during my second collegiate career, and he went on to become a church leader. And I ran into him and I said, "You're the last person I would ever have imagined to become a church leader. Why did you do that?" And he literally looked at me and said, "Because I traded one set of complications for an entirely different set of complications. And those were complications I could deal with." Well, okay. You know, I mean, as a trans person, though, the conditional nature of relationships, just by being trans, and Miranda will know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's when you come out to someone as trans, when you're in a relationship with that person, it can go one of any number of a different set of ways.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I mean, I hate to put you on the spot, Miranda, but I mean, how conditional did that go for you?
Yeah. So I was terrified about coming out to my wife. Um, I didn't think that she would stop loving me, but I was afraid that there was the potential that it would be like, we have to split up and I can support you as a friend, but not your partner. Um, so, like, I I worked that up in my mind so much before I came out because I imagined conditions that didn't necessarily exist because of my fear. Um, so I came out to her. Um, it was for her kind of like a surprise, but not a shock. um, and and she said that, like, I'll support you no matter what, and we'll have to figure out what this means for our relationship. Um, so there was some tension. There were things to work through, um, but what I was so afraid of didn't happen. Um, and so, like, I came out, things were kind of like in a very tense sort of like, we'll figure this out situation. And she had a work trip planned out for like a couple of months after I came out. And that was going to be our first time with like some physical distance between us in a while. So she ran off to Europe for a couple of weeks for work, which, I was jealous about that, like where she got to go, because she got to go to a couple places in France and one place in Scotland. But during her trip, she was really focused on her work stuff because they were running her ragged. So we talked a couple of times while she was gone, but not a lot. And so I spent a lot of time like partially being introspective about like my journey so far, and was this really the right choice? And like she came back from her trip, and one of the things that she said to me was that she had spent a lot of time, when she wasn't bogged down by work, like thinking about the status of our relationship and where things were going. And she decided that, how'd she phrase it? Like, I didn't miss a certain idea of you, I missed you. And so that was like really good for us that, we had that time, and she decided, like, this guy I was with for 16 years, you know, that facade was not who she loved, but like she really loved my soul, if you will. And yeah, that was really healing for us in a lot of ways, and um, helped us continue to work on the things in our relationship that needed work. And now, 2+ years later, um, it's easy for me to look at things now and be like, well, as myself, I'm a better partner than I used to be, and like the overall strength of our relationship and dedication to each other is stronger than it used to be. But it took work for both of us, and individually and together. And yeah, I'm thankful that that's, we had the storybook ending, I guess. Um, but I know a lot of people who come out to their partners and that's the end of it, or they try and the trying is one-sided, or they try and they're both trying, but somebody does reach a limit where they're like, this isn't it anymore. Yeah.
So I have an interesting analysis to this effect. And it requires me to do something that I really hate doing. But Nietzsche, when you talk about fear. So Nietzsche's assertion is that we love life not because we are used to living, but because we're used to loving. And there is always some madness in love. It exists perpetually. But there is always some reason in that madness. And so when you become fearful, your fear is that madness. But beneath that is reason, the memory of being heard, the logic of survival or whatever. That's why you have that fear. But, you know, it cracks something open. The egg cracks. And your survival logic takes over. And what you realize is that, and we talk, Brandon, this is the thing we were talking about with closeted behaviors. You've planned your exit strategy, even subconsciously in your own head, iteratively over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so what that leads you to is the inevitability. And the conditional love that you've been trained to expect becomes not that anymore. It really does turn into that unconditional love. And so that requires me to quote Simone Beauvoir and say, to love is to accept the other's freedom, to will the other's freedom as one wills one's own freedom. And, you know, when your partner sees you reaching for yourself, as a trans person, this happens to us often. People watch us trying to grasp that authenticity and that wholeness of ourselves. That person's love, whoever it is, didn't cage your freedom. It watched, and then it stayed, and then it hasn't left. That's what I take away from that. I was not so fortunate in that capacity. The relationship I had when I came out as trans ended very abruptly and very not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a very bad way. Brandon?
Yes.
It's your turn. I'm about to start crying again.
Well, I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to add to it. I mean,
we're right at about 8 minutes away from the hour. So.
Oh, well.
If you don't do it, I'm gonna make Sarah do it.
Wait, what am I being voluntold for?
Closing thoughts, I guess.
Oh, I have no thoughts. Not a thought behind these eyes.
No, that's bullshit.
I mean, I kind of contributed my experience with conditional love from my family and feeling unconditional love for someone else.
Are you afraid of ever feeling? Here's a question: are you afraid of ever feeling that conditional love again?
Feeling it from others?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like once you have experienced that, you're always going to have that fear in your mind. It's happened with this person, so it could happen with someone else, and that's always going to be a possibility that you think of. I think. I mean, it would be difficult to get rid of it.
Yeah, and that fear can really hold us back from showing our authentic selves to people.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Is there, because like I was talking about earlier, there everyone has their limits. We talked about Sarah having her Joe having that limit of if you smoke a joint or if you do any kind of drugs or anything. And a lot of us have had experience with a limit of someone saying if you're gay or queer, trans, anything other than quote normal. But I think we have fears that we will meet someone who has a certain limit or a certain condition that we may not meet, and it may not appear till later too. I don't know, but yeah, I think it's almost impossible to get rid of that.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
Sarah, you found something funny?
Yeah, your message. Put me on the spot.
Brandon won't know. I literally said the next time Sarah comes to trauma talk, she's on the hook for the topic.
I was just gonna say, I feel like the teacher. Like, are you passing notes? You're gonna share that with the rest of the class? You have to stand up and
Yeah.
read your note.
Yeah, I saw the notification pop up with the text preview, and then I saw Sarah react to it. Wendy, you're such a troll sometimes. But you have
So
fun
this will
with
be
it.
my last trauma talk.
One and
No,
done.
you're pot committed now. You can't back the fuck out on us. Look, I spent a long time getting this band together. You can't break the band up. You can't break the band up. We're at 4 people today because I didn't want to break up the band. Which, by the way, just to be clear, Miranda, was this too much for you?
No, but I do think that 5 would be. I really. I think
No, we're not.
that 4 is.
Yeah, we're not gonna find out. We're not gonna find. Yeah, we're not gonna find out. We're always gonna go on as a 4-piece. I just don't want to be the singer. Put me. I'll play bass.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, if I can get over my vocal dysphoria, I'll sing. But
I'm on keys.
It's funny. I'm just going to tell you, Brandon. So you can play piano, right?
Yeah.
All right. So there's a guy on TikTok named Dylan Hollis who is gay, who has a very similar physical appearance to you, is an expert baking person, and plays piano masterfully. And I find that parallel so on key with you that if I had it in me, I literally would find a way to introduce you to Dylan Hollis, and I would want to watch that interaction happen.
So
he's from the Midwest, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He is.
Yeah, so right there in Brandon's area.
Like originally from Panama or something like that?
I
might have both of his books, thanks to my mother.
Yeah, I most certainly have his Baking from Yesteryear. Baking from Yesteryear. But he is from, he was born in Bermuda, and he lives currently in, where does he live currently?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, it sounds like he's the bizarro ugly version of me, or the good looking. I'm the bizarro ugly Wait, I said that wrong. I'm the bizarro version of him.
Oh, he lives in Laramie.
Oh.
Yeah, he lives in Laramie. which isn't that Wyoming?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a boyfriend in Wyoming.
Oh.
Well, get you another one.
Yeah, I guess another one. All right, so I guess I'll be on the hook for Thursday or Fridays. So by the way, let's handle some task gathering. So if I can do trauma talk on Thursday, you can do that better than Friday, Miranda.
Yeah, Thursdays I can do, Fridays I can't.
Okay, so then I will actually. So I literally will indicate to you that on Thursday of most every day, my 1 o'clock window on Thursdays is open. So I'm going to permanently block that off, and we'll move trauma talk to Monday and Thursday. Do Monday and Thursday work best for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Sarah or Brandon, do you have objections to the 1 or 2 p.m. window on those days where you can participate?
I don't.
No, one is better.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd lean into 1 where possible, but if we had to go to 2, we could go. But I know on Thursday you have a thing at 3 my time,
Yes.
so we would have to end quickly. That's cool. Okay. Well, closing thoughts. This was really good, by the way. Thank you, Miranda.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miranda, for
I
not
don't-
breaking the band up.
I wouldn't dare break the band up. Yeah, I don't have any closing thoughts. I think we had a good chat.
Okay, well, I promise to bring a really cool topic on Thursday. And for everybody watching, please subscribe to all of the lovely websites that are scrolling across the bottom. The second one on the list is probably going to move to a new space soon, probably this week. Just going to tell everybody. Because I actually did a bunch of coding work for that earlier today while I was doing a regular job. So with that, thank you for everybody that came. Please subscribe, and then Brandon, Sarah, and Miranda, I love you all. Be safe, and I don't know, maybe later we'll do the 7 o'clock. Make Funny Farm Aaron laugh hysterically where she can't stop. Social hour.
I don't know what her schedule's like today.
Oh, I have no idea.
She's-
You keep up
She
with
started.
her.
She started training today. Like she's traveling.
Oh, okay. I don't keep up with her. That's your job.
We need
Don't
to
you
discuss
read-
my job
Don't you read
responsibilities.
the queer space stories? You and Renee are responsible for Aaron. That's
Where's Renee?
That's
I feel like
She
I'm
actually-
doing all the work.
She actually lives up in DC now. But you know what? I can have Renee call Aaron up every so often and wrangle her or whatever. I can't promise you that Renee won't try to get Aaron into bed with her, because that's what Renee does. I've watched Renee bed down, I shit you not, over the years, easily 1,000 women, half of which were married. Right. Okay.
I don't even
I
have
love
those
you
kind
all.
of numbers with guys.
Yeah. Right. I love you all. Later tonight.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good afternoon.